ようこそどうぞはじめまして
Hello everyone, welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. This is our last episode of 2020. Good riddance. I'm sure all of our problems will be solved and gone away by January 1st. So,
yeah.
I mean, we gotta have something to look forward to, right?
Yeah, well, things are moving in a somewhat positive direction compared to earlier in the year, but let's put that aside. And we're gonna talk about some anime. This episode is not to be confused with the end of the year episode, in which we were going to talk about like our best anime of the year and all that. That's gonna be next episode. But for this one, we are going to be doing our season preview for winter 2021. Got to get used to saying that. And
yeah, firmly into the next decade.
Yes, and so.
And we're moving forward on a strong footing.
Well, we'll discuss this, but joining us today, I'm Jel, and I'm joined by Iro.
Not dead yet.
Still here. And I'm joined by G.
What's good, everybody?
And we are joined by Zig.
Still inside my house, the safest place.
Yes, I hope everyone is being responsible and staying home, but yes.
This year you want the calls to come from inside the house.
Heyo.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, yeah, so winter 2021, new anime season coming up.
Yeah.
I think you can categorize the majority of the season as either a sequel or isekai trash or idle multimedia project trash.
All right.
One of those three.
One day
You know, the
we'll
good
do the
shit.
same thing.
We'll talk about some of the sequels that we're interested in, and I've tried to pick out some of like the new shows that are noteworthy for better or worse.
Yeah, we don't want to get swindled again like we did last season when we all slept on Akudama.
Yeah, last season I thought Akudama Drive just looked like trash and didn't include it on the preview, so I tried to cast
again.
I tried to cast a little bit of a wider net this time, but I don't know unless one of these like
some of these titles, man, are like oof.
Yeah, like the one where it's what's the kid's like, you know, I'm actually an NPC in real life or something. I don't know.
I mean, okay, look, I'm not saying that like we got to cast so wide a net because we got to believe in every show that shows up at our doorstep. You know, it's just that.
I mean, that's always been the case.
There's the isekai with the girl that turns into a spider monster. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, is that finally
yeah,
getting an anime?
Yeah,
The thing's like popular, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
That one's probably not as bad as some of the other ones from what I'm seeing. But
How far gone are we that girl turns into spider monster as a premise
Like,
is just
doesn't
sort
even
of
rate,
elicits
like-
a shrug?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, you have the more conventional one that's like the
God.
34-year-old neat otaku virgin guy
Don't
who's
give a shit.
really a nice
you
guy.
can just
quotes.
halt this sentence mid-sentence and we're good. We can move
Yeah.
on.
So
don't really
anyway,
need to
we're
hear
we're
anything
gonna skip those.
It's
I
time
think
to
that
talk about the good isekai show, though.
Yeah, let's let me get up on my soapbox here. To be
Okay.
clear. Go ahead.
yeah.
all
So
right.
we'll start by we'll start by talking about some of the sequels coming up, beginning with the return of Log Horizon. I
Yeah,
think
baby.
Database.
This is season 3. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
we're
living in the
coming back to the
database.
database.
how
It's
long
been-
has it been now?
It's been a
years.
while.
8
You
years?
know,
I don't
plus
know.
like the author got busted for tax evasion and put in
Right,
jail and all
Yeah.
that. And
He's sharing a cell with Yoshi.
I just that's a deep joke. No one's gonna
Of course.
get. But
This is the internet. Everybody's gonna get.
Log Horizon. I love the subtitle "Destruction of the Round Table."
yeah. All right.
And
sure. Great.
I never watched Log Horizon, but I know there was a time in history when you guys liked it. I don't know
Alright,
if
let me
after season 2
get
that
up
was
here.
the case, but
It's season 2 is not that great, but season 1 I still kind of hold a candle for.
Same.
Like in a world where isekai is all cheat skills and I can instantly boost my level to level 99 and also I have slave harem and fucking I turned into a slime or a spider, or I don't know.
The slime show is also coming
I have
back.
the strategy guide, or I
opened up Cheat Engine.
or I have the powers of Minecraft. Or
I have my smartphone.
So I have my smartphone and all of this shit. Like, Log Horizon was kind of, to me, it feels like the predecessor to a lot of those, in that it wrangled with all of the some of the stuff that would actually arise from everyone got put in the fucking dumb video game.
Right. Like, I think the thing that, like, the reason, like, I'm with Eero here, where I really loved Log Horizon, especially Season 1. I will fully admit, I actually never even finished Season 2. It was that much of
I did, so...
It was that much of a letdown, but... Yeah, I think Eero's kind of right, where in a weird way, like, Log Horizon almost feels like the the evolutionary ancestor to the modern isekai show, in that, like, it is wrangling with a lot of, like, in many ways, like, it is the Homo habilis to the, like, Dot Hack's Australopithecus or whatever. like if Dot Hack was, like, initially, if Dot Hack was, like,
Come
the
to the
bipedal...
GLORIO chat for your deep anthropological cuts.
Yeah, hey, look, man, that shit was burned into me from high school, all right? Jesus. But, you know, right, like if Dot Hack was, like, the rudimentary, like exploration of these concepts, like, Log Horizon, like, is the one that, like, begins to, like, codify a lot of, like, for better or worse, what becomes, like, part and parcel with isekai. But I guess maybe just for us, Log Horizon's sensibilities and approaches felt a lot more natural and interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Zig.
Does this mean that the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon is an isekai?
Yeah, it totally
is. It was the actually, shit, what came before Australopithecus? I don't know. Sorry, my anthropology knowledge only goes back so far.
You need to play more Ancestor.
Yeah, clearly.
Dungeons and Dragons was the walking fish of isekai.
Yes. Yeah, it was the fish that went on land.
The sort of base pitch for Log Horizon for all you younguns out there is everyone gets pulled into the game, but this game's been around for a long time. Everyone's already max level and has their builds complete, and now we're stuck here, and what the fuck do we even do? There's no point in fighting monsters. Like, we have all this gold, we are just gonna sit around all day, I guess.
Yeah, like...
So it's Ultima Online, is what you're telling me.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, the thing that makes it super interesting...
Like, sort of wrangles with the gameness of it.
Is that, like, these characters exist in an endgame MMO. Like, this is not like, oh, how do we find ourselves in a world where there are, like, conflicts to be solved and bosses to be defeated? Like, it is a show very much about, like, yeah, what the fuck do we do? We're all max level. Like, there basically was nothing left to do for many of these characters, right? And so, like, a lot of the conflicts in the story kind of shift internally, right? Like, do we form a government? Like, do we have to, like, do we create laws for players, right? Because we now need to, like, coexist with the NPCs. It's...
Right.
Like...
So, let me tell you where I am on this, because, I was around when Log Horizon was first airing, but also I didn't watch it, so I mostly remember it as the thing with the funny cat in the waistcoat. That well is so poisoned. I'm not sure I can do it at this point.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure the show is great, and I'm sure that the idea obviously is more original than it seems these days. But
here's the question I'm going to throw out there. Like, what went wrong in season 2 that was, like, souring you guys on it? Was it just running out of stuff to do, or was it something specific, some specific turn that it was taking?
For me, it was kind of like a sort of dilution in character focus. Like, they as the cast expanded, right, beyond the, like, main core, I feel like a lot of the other characters they began to introduce were not as strong or memorable or compelling. Like, the main character really worked because, like, yes, he is max level, but again, everybody is max level, right? Like, Zig, you play a lot of Destiny 2, right? Like, it's that situation of, like, yeah, you're at max light, but so is, like, fucking everybody, right?
Everybody is the chosen hero who saves the world.
Right.
But also, like, the main character, like... And this is actually one of those few cases where, like, this actually worked, where, like, he picked a class that was, like, according to the meta,
class, right?
like suboptimal, right? Like,
he's like the buffer class.
right, and not in a secretly the worst, but actually the best way. He was actually legitimately, like... His class was considered by the meta as a whole, like, yeah, it's usable, but, like, you know...
It's nice to have one, but we wouldn't pick it.
Right, like, nobody would ever pick this class as, like, priority 1 in a raid or anything. And so, like, it actually kind of worked in that way, but, like... Yeah, but then, like, as they kind of expanded the cast, they introduced more characters, other players, like... A lot of the other ones didn't work nearly as well, I think.
Yeah.
Like, their motivations and, like, their internal struggles just did not resound with me as much.
What I felt is that the stuff I really liked about Season 1 was more of the, like, societal implications of what's happening and how we're going to work together to survive and build a new society with what we have. And I think Season 2 had a lot more focus on, like, anime action set piece.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Also, a lot
which,
more,
like, wasn't very interesting.
Yeah, and then the kind of also introduced the, like... There was like a romantic triangle, right?
Oh, yeah,
or something like that. That was
sucked.
also just like, ugh, like, do we really need this?
Yeah, and the answer was, no, we don't.
Yeah. So we exist in this weird place where it's like, look, it's been a long time since any of us have watched Log Horizon. We have endured a lot of really bad isekai anime in the last few years. So, like, you know, there's a part of me that's like, I'm ready to welcome Log Horizon back into my heart, but, like...
Maybe it'll feel refreshing in 2021 here.
But also, like... We can't deny that, like, yes, it's not like we exactly, like, split up on good terms all those years back, so...
Is this still, like, is there source material still to be adapted, or are they going... Okay, so there's still stuff to work from, then.
Yes.
But the series is over, like, the novel series is over.
I don't actually know.
I have no
I'd have
clue.
to check, but I don't know. It took a long break while the author was in prison for tax evasion.
Yeah, well, there was that, so maybe that's what happened, but, all right.
Also, just want to say real quick, the news that they're not bringing back database for the OP is a huge black mark against the anime.
Yeah, that's really getting off on the wrong.
Like that's the other thing I almost forgot to bring up. Right, Season 2 was handled by a different studio, so, like, that was also another issue. Right, is like, not that Season 1 was a real looker, but, like, they handed it off to fucking... I think
it went from, like, Satellite to Dean or something.
To Dean, so, like, you could tell there was a distinct downgrade. But also, like, whatever you say about Season 2...
A 7 out of 10 studio to a 6 out of 10 studio.
Yeah. Yes. But you know what? That was noticeable, because it went from, like, you know, in game terms, it went from playable to, like, this is actually, like, technically broken enough to be a problem. But, even then, Season 2 knew they had to keep the OP from Season 1. Like, Database had become that anime's, like, core identity. I watched Log Horizon purely on the basis of the OP.
I mean, that's where all, like,
show until I saw Database.
That's where all the memes and everything were coming from. Like, that's what the internet was buzzing about for that show, was the OP.
So then not bringing back Database is, like, to me, it's like, do these people even know what they're doing?
Yeah, it's a... Not exactly getting off on the right foot there, I suppose. But
I mean, I would say that in the 8 years since Log Horizon happened, the very business of anime openings has shifted ever more towards we must have more of them and they must be, increasingly commercialized. Which, I mean, obviously they were commercialized before, but the idea of a show using the same opening for 2 seasons now is unthinkable. Quite frankly.
I'm trying to think of the last time. What's the last show that did that? Actually, yeah, I guess.
I don't know, man. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah. Oh well.
All right. Well, I mean, are you guys actually looking forward to Season 3, or is it's just a wait and see situation?
Any port in a storm gel.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
All right. That Catman was cool. I want to see what he's been up to.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Let's move along, and in a season where Laid Back Camp is coming back, I'm going to instead recommend Non Biyori, which is coming back for a third season as well. This is a kind of similar to Laid Back Camp in that this is like true slice of life. It is very slow and quiet. There's a lot of background scenery porn. And this one, though, the premise is, if it's been a while, so to remind everybody, it's like a bunch of kids going to a school in very rural Japan, and like the school is so small they all have to like share a classroom, even though they're all like different ages and whatnot. And
How long has it been since the last season?
it's probably been similar
like,
time as Log Horizon.
Log Horizon? Like, because I feel like I've seen reaction images from this anime for like the last decade of my life. So.
Yeah, it's probably similar age.
It's aired in 2013 and 2015. So
yeah, so that's almost exactly the same as Log Horizon.
Horizon.
Right?
What was it, like 2012, I think?
Log Horizon aired in, scrolling past all the manga spin-offs, Log Horizon aired from 2013 to 2015. So
all right.
Yeah, so
wow,
same,
literally the exact
same age as so it's also been equally a long time. But
yeah,
I mean, there's not too much to say about it. Like I said, it's more of a very chill, like true slice of life show. I personally, if we're comparing it to Laid Back Camp, I personally found like the sense of humor and stuff a little bit funnier and more interesting than just like girls camping. But keep an eye on that one.
I mostly remember Non Biyori because there used to be some YouTube channel of a Japanese man who would climb to the tops of mountains and play anime songs on his ukulele.
Did he do?
That's the G-Reco guy.
Yeah, I remember he did the G-Reco ending and Non Biyori opening, and I think like Macross Plus or something.
That's quite a. He has quite a broad range of
taste in anime. I can respect it.
I mean, the only thing I really have to add to this is that Silverlink generally produced nice looking shows, so I'm sure it does well.
Yeah,
they're a little hit or miss, but
a competent studio.
They've done good with this series in the past. So
it seems like it would suit their style.
You're going to get a lot of nice background art of rural Japan. Like it does the thing where there's no like talking or anything. It's just like slow camera pan over the scenery type of thing.
The motion comic.
Much like Laid Back Camp does that, where there's like, hey, look at how nice this illustration of Japan is. But anyway, let's move on. Let's keep these. We got a lot to talk about, so let's keep these things rolling. All right, let's talk about the double whammy of Cells at Work we're getting.
This is a weird one.
Oh, well, this is only the second weirdest double series thing happening this season.
Place your bets on a very special episode about coronaviruses.
Oh, God.
Please, no.
Wonder if enough time... Here's the thing, it has not passed. Like, that is the thing. I would say it has enough time
we can't say time has passed because
like,
it's still happening.
Like, let us be clear, not to get too real here, but, like, 300,000 people have died in the U.S. alone, like, from this shit. Like, that's, like, 59, that's like 100 9/11s or some shit. If they did anything, wouldn't it just be like a PSA or something?
Wear your masks.
Right. Yeah. Like I can see them doing like
wash your hands and stay home.
Right. Like yes, a very like milquetoast wash your hands. Wear a mask.
A generalized here's to prevent pathogens from spreading.
But also like Japan is a country that doesn't need to be told that either. They're not stupid like the rest of us are on this shit. But
so.
Anyways, this is a weird one.
Yeah, I think from a technical perspective, like I'm kind of interested in how the business went down with this, because my impression was Cells at Work was, I found it completely fine and it seemed to be decently popular, but greenlighting 2 seasons of anime to run simultaneously is quite a commitment.
Yeah. Well, my understanding is like. Actually, the anime was pretty popular, and more importantly, it did the thing that all anime adaptations are supposed to do, in that the Cells at Work manga sales like jumped like exponentially.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And I'm not sure, but first of all, before we get into the details, let's just explain why there are 2 series.
It's anime Osmosis Jones. All right. That's the premise.
Well, one of them is the mainline Cells of Work series, which wasn't really that long ago. You probably I think most people would probably remember it at this point, where it's the
it
anime
had the very
Osmosis
catchy
Jones.
OP.
All the it's anthropomorphized, red blood cells, white blood cells, all that, defending the body from invading viruses and whatnot. So there's that. So that's just coming back for season 2. The other series is Cells at Work Black.
Yes, the
which
edgier spin-off.
Is like what would happen if you took that same premise, but the person was like a very unhealthy.
Yeah. I mean,
person.
so the actual premise of Osmosis Jones, basically.
So they have a lot more, let's say, work on their hands.
Yeah, like I read a couple chapters of Black just to like get a feel for like what it was doing, and like. So Cells at Work Black is basically the exact same premise of like anthropomorphized like bodily functions, but like in that case it's like weird. It's like a weird like tonally. I mean it's like half parody, but basically it's like it's tonally like a mix of like Mad Max and Aliens, I guess, of like. The red blood cells have a ridiculously high casualty rate, and the white blood cells are like these like Warhammer 40k style space marines who are like, the last bastion of the body's survival, and like you got roving gangs of like Mad Max style bacteria, just fucking trying to find Kenshiro out here or some shit. And it kind of works, like, and it works because of the premise of Cells at Work actually lends itself well to this kind of like spin-off idea of like, what if a different body with different like bodily functions and needs? I don't know if it's enough to justify a whole anime series, but I think the weirder thing for a lot of us is like, it's a little weird that they would greenlight, and maybe this is a result of COVID, right? Maybe COVID like production like slowed one down so that they ended up in this situation.
That's what I was thinking.
Double stacked them by accident,
right? Because like this almost feels like you're potentially cannibalizing your own audience by having, or oversaturating your audience, right? With 2 shows of basically the same franchise and premise airing in the same season.
That's a lot of Cells at Work,
right? Like
in one season.
I legitimately liked Cells at Work. Like again, it wasn't like a.
I thought it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna like act like it was doing anything special, but like it was a fun like thing to watch on a week-to-week basis. As somebody who like enjoyed studying biology back in the day, and again has a real soft spot for the animated film Osmosis Jones and its accompanying TV series Ozzy and Drix. I won't sing the OP again.
Nope.
Like I did last time, I think 2 years ago, the last time we talked about Cells at Work. But, so I'm willing to do another season. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do another 2 seasons, basically, of Cells at Work, but...
Simultaneously.
At the same time. But, I mean... We'll see. Well, it's a bold play, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for them. But
from what like we said, from what I understand, it was very popular. So I'm sure there will be people eating it up. But that is just kind of the strange thing of like, that's just a lot of Cells at Work to handle. So I think, I'm assuming though that's it's just going to be more pretty decent anime.
It will be what it is. Yeah.
If you enjoyed it, the previous one, you'll probably continue to enjoy this.
Yes, I assume they're getting the same cast back, so yes, Hana Kanazawa will voice that one red blood cell.
Oh yeah, in Black they swap the genders, right? So
yeah. So the white blood cells are these like
cool,
badass, strong ladies,
right?
So that is also another reason why I maybe read Cells at Work Black for a few chapters.
As one does.
Anyway, let's move along to some of the bigger name returning things here.
Yeah.
We have the Promised Neverland coming back for season 2.
Yeah.
And I'll let you guys kind of talk a little bit about that. But from what I understand, all right, let me just say from my perspective, as someone who knows nothing about what happens next in the manga, I have no idea. Idea what or why you would want to continue this series, because I felt like the end of season 1 was just like, this is the good
manga. So
yeah,
this is so, and that's even not factoring in what you guys have told me, and you guys haven't spoiled anything for me, but you've shared that you are not happy with where the manga goes. I don't want
to set up people's expectations going into it negatively, but it is kind of hard to avoid that, for better or worse. The Promised Neverland, I think an anime that a lot of us liked, a very solid entry in Weekly Shonen Jump, one of the few two-starry female protagonists. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love season 1, but I felt like that ending was like, okay,
well, that's
we're
the
done.
thing, right?
I don't
yeah,
need.
like,
I don't need to
did
go
the
on.
thing.
They did the
There's a
thing,
reason why
right?
most
Yeah.
pieces of fiction about a great escape end after the great escape, because
But then you realize society is a prison.
God. But yes, to echo that, yeah, it definitely. So, there's definitely been a lot of discourse about this lately in Weekly Shonen Jump, mainly due to the recent conclusion of Chainsaw Man, a manga that seemed to have ended entirely on the whims of its own author without any editor meddling. It has kind of brought up a lot of other, this discourse has kind of brought back this old discussion about older Weekly Shonen Jump manga that have often suffered from, the fate of just being stretched on for too long. And I think that The Promised Neverland is maybe one of the most tragic examples of this situation.
That's a pretty strong term to use. It's that bad, huh?
Promised Neverland
Well,
does.
yeah, we don't want to spoil anything, so I understand it's
don't wanna
hard
spoil it.
to.
So for those,
Yeah,
unfamiliar
no
with Promised
spoilers,
Neverland,
obviously, but-
we're getting to season 2 of the anime about the kids who are raised in an orphanage, only to find out that actually they are being raised as cattle to be eaten by these monsters that live in their world, and it is about the kids trying to formulate their escape. Spoilers: they escape in season 1.
Yep.
And season 2 is going to be the continuation of their adventures. Now that they have escaped, however, they're now in the monster world itself. And
They've
they need to
escaped
figure
prison,
out-
and now they need to escape society.
Yes, basically, yes. That is the very effective one-sentence description. And the problem, I think, is that the reason why I say it's maybe the most tragic example of editor meddling is The Promised Neverland ended in the first part ends in a really good, strong place. It's maybe one of the best endings to an arc in,
Right.
a long time. And so for them to continue it, it's I think for a lot of people, season 2 will be working off of a lot of the residual goodwill from season 1. Because season 1 leaves such a good impression, I think a lot of people are going to go into season 2 being you know what? I want to see what they do, right? I want to see what they do with these characters in this situation. And I'm even of the mind that actually the anime will actually probably hold up okay in season 2. It is probably not until the hypothetical Promised Neverland season 3 where the cracks will really start to show up.
I mean, I can remember the arc that presumably season 2 will cover, and then I can't remember anything until the end of the manga.
Oh yeah,
so...
no, it's totally blank after that.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably says
All right.
it.
I mean, it sounds like there's, at least for the immediate future, there is some hope, I guess. Again, trying to take it from the perspective of someone who knows nothing about the manga, then hopefully, we can at least enjoy it for a little bit longer. But
Sure. I just don't think
Again,
it'll place at the top of our list.
again,
this
with
time.
no other context, though, I just felt like everything they needed to accomplish had already been accomplished. And
Yeah.
even if season 2 is okay, it's going to be diminishing returns.
I
at this
mean,
point, right?
I get how you could continue that story, but the reason escape stories work is that they tend to have a very strong central drive to them, and without that objective to build everything around, you have to very radically change the kind of story that you're trying to tell. And I'll be interested at least to see if they can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we can dance around it too much more without spoiling things,
Yeah.
right? So all we can say is, I guess, buckle up for that one. And
Yeah, it just kind of attempts to escalate in a way that I didn't think worked very well.
yeah.
But for something that
Okay.
escalates in a good way.
Extremely well, maybe too well, in fact.
Oh, all right. I think we're starting to get too far here. So we'll leave that for when it airs. All right.
Oh no, I'm talking about the next thing on our list.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about Promised
Oh
Neverland.
no,
Okay.
no, the next show here.
I missed the
SK8.
So can
transition. All right.
Can I open
Alright.
up on this one?
All right.
here?
First, let's tell everybody what we're talking about.
We're talking about 2019's best anime.
Yeah.
Yes, Glorio's best anime of 2019, BEASTARS, coming back for season 2. Go ahead, Zig.
So, I thought BEASTARS was a very fun, interesting, well-written character drama. I didn't necessarily think it was the best show of the year or the most transcendent
That's fine.
thing
I mean,
ever,
the show don't need to
you
be
know.
transcendent
So,
to be great, but
like, and so, you know, obviously I'm interested to see how they will, you know, expand and escalate on that story, but I'm just a little wary. Like, the hype is so overwhelming that it's very hard not to be a tad skeptical when something comes in like this, so to speak. And as I said, you know, I liked BEASTARS Season 1 a lot. I didn't necessarily fall in love with it, and I think it will be interesting to see that, given, you know, they didn't really conclude a story in the first half. You know, they concluded some
the
individual
first season
character
was
arcs, obviously, but there's
meant to have another season.
for better
Like, it
or
was not
worse,
like a
BEASTARS
self-contained-
BEASTARS falls into the same
absolutely.
trap as many anime adaptations of, well, this is where we end it because that's the source material we're working with, basically.
Right.
this is how much runtime we have, and it has to
Right.
end
And
at some point.
I you know, I don't know how far ahead they were planning, but they may have already had season 2 in mind at that point too.
I think
But-
they had to. Like, I feel like
Um,
season 1, if you like look back on it, it doesn't end in a conclusively satisfying enough way to be its own thing.
So for those of us that did love BEASTARS, just to pitch, my elevator pitch was always, you know, the what if Zootopia was more violent and sexy.
That's such a
is-
base way to describe. I mean, you're not wrong. That's entirely correct. But I would also add, what if?
I that probably does more harm than good describing it that way.
Here we go. Let me pitch it. What if Zootopia was horny, and that's a good thing?
Okay, sure.
Jesus.
That's even worse.
Look, just
no
trust
way.
us.
Look,
it
you all-
sounds bad on paper.
You all remember me. You all remember me talking about this, all right? You all remember when I was the only person on the chat who had read BEASTARS, and I was trying to sell this to the rest of you guys when the anime got announced. You all now understand how hard of a sell this is without sounding like some kind of deranged pervert.
Okay, firstly, let me point out that Zootopia is definitely horny, and if you don't believe it, the internet can prove it.
It's not gonna, I would think people are horny.
Secondly,
for Zootopia,
I think that-
but I think BEASTARS, the work is horny in a way that Zootopia is not.
I mean, I think that what was interesting about BEASTARS was that it tried to build, you know, this complete picture of a society dominated by animal instinct, and that was interesting to me. And, you know, it's very exciting to see things like, you know, Louis versus the Lion Mafia, but you know, I wonder how they will do that. Well, because one of the things I enjoyed about BEASTARS is that it's relatively a small-scale tale with fairly small-scale stakes.
Right.
You know, it's a murder mystery come weird coming-of-age drama, and the question with all of those kind of things is how do you escalate the story while still keeping the core things which made it
I mean, I could
interesting
definitely
to
see the
begin
path to escalation even without you guys telling me stuff. Like we don't even know what a B-star is.
God,
But
right. They didn't even talk about that.
I
So-
cannot believe they still have not explained what a B-star is.
No, they did. They said what.
No,
they said what a
they
B
didn't-
star was, or
they didn't
one
really
possible
explain.
meaning,
They
said.
mentioned that they exist, but like they didn't really get into what that means.
Well, I mean, they said that the lead actor of the senior year, they described him as a B star. You know, that's the context.
Anyways,
they
I think
used
to
that
kind of
word
get into
in.
like what you guys are talking about, I will say again, I think Iro and I will have to try to not get too much into it as we have both finished the manga, but I think I can confidently say that at least for season 2, there. Again, I do apologize if we've overhyped it, but I will say I think there's a lot to genuinely look forward to in season 2. Like,
Yes.
the material season 2 is covering in many ways is kind of the completion of BEASTARS' original premise, like or season 2 will wrap up the most of the story's original like plot threads, is how I'd put it. And I think that it escalates really well in that regard. Like, you still get a lot of really interesting character focus. You know, you will actually get to see the conclusion of the murder mystery.
Like a lot of the concepts and stuff that they brought up in season 1 that did not necessarily conclude in season 1, I think sort of reach a dramatic climax at season 2.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, I mean, I am looking forward to it. For me, I really liked, I think if we're talking about my favorite parts, there's a lot of things I liked, even just from the technical point of view of how they managed to actually make CG anime look good.
It was a solid adaptation, It had every reason to fail, but I mean, just, I love, I think Lugosi's a lovable idiot, and, I was going to mention the Netflix names, but I almost don't want to even go there. I will never address them by their translated names. I refuse.
Yeah.
I think the real question here, though, is will we get another amazing stop
really curious.
title sequence?
I will...
I bet that thing was like incredibly expensive.
I mean, did you guys watch the behind the scenes on that? Like,
yeah, it was.
I did not.
I'll have to maybe I'll look it up and put that in the show notes.
I mean, it's like anytime you look up a behind the scenes from like a Studio Leica film, it's like,
right, yeah.
How do you people even do this? Why do you people even do this?
Like, the biggest thing that surprised me on the behind the scenes was how big the models actually were.
Oh yeah.
They were not as tiny as I thought they would be.
They have to be large for
because they have to be manipulated by human hands,
or something,
right?
Watch some behind the scenes of like Thunderbolt Fantasy or something.
Yeah,
sometime.
but
those things are almost person sized.
Side note: Thunderbolt Fantasy also coming back this season.
Okay.
I wish one of us watched it so that I could at least understand it from a distance.
And watch it.
But
yeah, I too would like to go back because I like her.
Yeah, it's like, every time I see a GIF of like a dude stabbing another dude with a fucking stick and then they explode, and I'm like, this might be something I'm supposed to watch.
Yeah,
but anyways.
Yeah, we'll getting off that live action puppet side track there.
I would love if they did another stop motion OP for BEASTARS, but I don't think it's in the cards. I will say, I'll say it here. I love the first OP. I'm kind of starting to turn around on the second OP. Like, I'm the more I listen to it, I'm more like, yeah, okay, I could see this working for season 2. Like, in terms of some of the stuff season 2 gets into, like, sure, why not? Fucking poppy J-pop tune for some of the stuff that's coming, but
I feel that first one was so perfect for the
first OP is so good though. Like it's
in the setting and
it's a database tier opening. Like it's iconic to the show's identity, and I just hope that maybe the visuals of the second OP will at least be able to match the first. But
right. Okay, well. That'll do it for sequels for now. Obviously, there's a lot of other sequels, but those are just the ones that we wanted to mention. And let's move on to some of the new shows. And I called Cells at Work the second weirdest double billing of the season because this is the first one.
Oh, is this a double? Wow, I totally missed that actually.
So there.
This is
absolutely insane. So
I've not heard about this.
So I kind of did a double take when I was reading the descriptions of these shows, but I'll try to explain as best I can after I did a little research on it. So there is a new multimedia idol project show thing coming out called Gekidol.
Okay. So far so beneath my notice.
Yes. So this is it's basically an idol show, the hook being that I guess they're more like theater kids that want to do plays, and also it's like post-apocalyptic or something. I don't know.
BEASTARS.
I don't know how relevant that is to the show, because it looks like it's basically just going to be an idol show regardless. I don't like the trailer had like a little bit more of a serious tone than your typical Idol show, but also they were still singing and dancing, so let's just call this another Idol show.
Yeah, reading this premise here is like these two sentences don't even go together. The story takes place 5 years after a mysterious disaster happened that erased major cities around the world.
What?
The anime
Yeah, so if you
centers
watch
on
the
girls
trailer,
who would be part of a
it's still-
3D idol group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, trust me, weirder things have happened with these Idol shows. They just need whatever premise
Fine.
to
What?
Sure.
Not your
girls to-
Kiseki or whatever. Like.
Yeah, they just need some kind of setup for the girls to ganbare their way to the top, right?
course.
But so where it gets weird
Yes. Okay.
is there is a second anime airing this season
Okay.
called
okay.
Alice in Deadly School, and Alice in Deadly School is the actual like premise is like a schoolgirl zombie survival in high school type of
School
thing.
like School Live or what?
Kind of like School Live, but without the like
Okay.
whole imagination hook thing that had. But and so I saw this was related to Gekidol, and I was like, how is this related to Gekidol? And so it turns out Alice in Deadly School is one of the plays that they perform in universe in Gekidol.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Is this a
And they
fucking
just-
like Genshiken situation?
Huh. No, but I don't think. Wait, like Genshiken?
Like,
What was that situation?
Like, there's an anime in universe in Genshiken, but I think it got like a 1-episode OVA. It didn't get like a full TV
Right.
series.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
like
it
they did that with Shirobako, right? Where they did like a 1-episode OVA of the bad anime they were making.
Yeah.
right,
that kind of
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
But to do something as audacious as make a second
Yeah,
second
series.
anime
Series.
series.
It's this thing called Kujibiki Unbalance is a full show that was based on a story within a story in Genshiken.
Oh, was it? Man, I totally missed that, man.
To be clear, I've watched neither of these.
I mean,
What was
I
it?
love Genshiken, but
I mean, there are
Was it?
there are some
Nana,
examples
right?
of other anime, playing. Nanaha is one, but like Macross is the most famous one, where Do You Remember Love is meant to be an in-universe version
Right.
of
Right,
what
but-
actually happened.
of course
Like,
everybody
this
then
is
took
like-
that to be canon for the rest of the series. So
Right.
Well, because it's way better than the
yeah, I
original
don't-
series, but the thing is, like, it's rarely been
Yeah.
done this overtly, and obviously also in,
well, it's like in
in
the
the form
same
of
season,
two
that's really-
concurrently airing.
So here's the thing,
series.
right? Like, this experiment is like weird enough that like maybe if this were literally any other anime and not premises this basic, like I could almost see something kind of interesting in the experiment of airing two concurrent shows that like one exists in the universe of the other, because that could lead to some like interesting weird meta narrative shit going on.
Right.
But knowing the premise of these two shows in question, I don't
So like,
care enough to find out. So
it's like if it's a play, then it's all the same characters. Then
I think so. Like I think. I mean, I didn't like dig that deep into it, but like the main girl in the one show looks like the main girl in the other show, and it's like, is that her playing the character in the other show or something? I don't know.
I will
Okay.
also say, like, based on your description, man, these character designs don't feel like they fit at all the tone of like the setting you described, Gel. Like,
Oh well, yeah. I mean, we've seen the schoolgirl zombie survival thing.
yeah,
before.
yeah, I guess
But-
so.
But if you watch the trailer, they're very different tone to the trailer for sure. Like one is like actual like supposed to be survival horror-ish looking, or maybe the whole thing is just like maybe they're just tricking us because this is like original. Like we have no other frame of reference for this. Who knows? I have no idea what's going to happen. It's probably not going to be good, but it's.
I mean, it could be the most subversive thing we've seen in years.
it's
but
right.
somehow I
It's
doubt
probably not going to be good, but I mean,
It might be.
it's weird
interesting.
enough where like I'm curious what's going to happen.
No,
So
I get you.
yeah, so I just wanted to mention that, just how absolutely bizarre that whole thing is. But I am not actually looking forward to watching it.
okay, then
Let's move along. Let's talk about Otherside Picnic. I think this looks like it's basically lesbian ghost hunting.
Yeah, this looked like I watched the PV. This seems like your obligatory obligatory urban fantasy anime of the season with like some like Yuri undertones.
Lots of queer baiting, I'm
oh
sure.
boy,
One of the girls has a gun, which is like, I mean,
yeah, I thought that was pretty funny
a
watching the
gun
trailer
would not
where
be
she
my
just,
first choice for hunting ghosts, but you know what? You do you. So.
she just like pulls out a gun out of nowhere.
I mean,
You
it
know
worked
what?
for
It's
Whole
Adapt
Horse.
that
Fair
one
enough.
manga by the Nobunaga guy where the girl has a original print M1911, therefore it's a Tsukumogami that can shoot
Oh yeah,
ghosts.
because it's 100 years old.
Yeah.
Shout out
The,
to Nobunaga.
I mean, I thought the trailer looked alright. I kind of like the art style. This is I always have my eye on Leiden Films, even though they haven't done anything good in years. But when they actually make something good, they can make it look as good as pretty much anybody.
Sure.
Although they are doing 4 anime this season, so
Jesus.
that does not bode well for.
Leiden Films does not strike me as a studio that can handle that many productions, but
Yeah, so something is probably going to suffer. But I thought this one looked pretty good. And again, as I'm trying to cast a wider net here, maybe there's some potential for it.
What if we just put a gun into Adachi and Shimamura?
That's kind of it might be where we're going here. What if they were ghost hunters with guns?
how many
But,
premises are improved by either what if we gave the character a gun, or what if they were ghost hunters?
that was like what were we talking about a couple episodes? Oh, in Jujutsu Kaisen, you said like one of the girls, her power is gun.
Yes, it's just a gun.
I mean that improved the situation, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So. All right. Let's move along. Let's talk about Hortensia Saga. I just threw this on here because this is actually a fantasy anime that isn't isekai.
Oh wow.
Really?
I mean, we did have one of those this past season, and it was not.
Yeah,
good,
I mean this looks
so-
very anime fantasy, anime medieval fantasy. The premise is the old deposed princess who's the real heir to the throne, who's marching back to take her kingdom back or something
Fire
like that.
Emblem.
Yeah,
Right,
that
like
kind
Dawn
of
the Dawn, like, or whatever that was called.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Arslan
those out
Saga.
there. Yeah, I think this is actually the same director or something as Arslan Saga or something, and it has kind of a similar vibe to it.
Apparently, this is based on a free-to-play role-playing game by Sega on
Huh,
phones.
well.
So
it's a mobile
Sure.
game adaptation.
A sure sign
Well,
of quality.
Is this,
you know.
is this our season's Magatsu? Like,
where we think it's going to be good
where
for
we
an
watch
episode,
like
and
30
then,
episodes and we're like, oh yeah, maybe this is doing some interesting stuff. And then we look up the lore in the game and we're all like, oh no guys, this goes way bad.
I'll have to see if the game is available in America. and
Yes,
check that
report
out.
back on that for us.
does not appear to be.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard.
Whatever, man.
I feel like I have
We got
heard the name
proxies.
before at some point, but anyway, I mean, I'm just keeping an eye on that one just in case. Again, we're casting a wide net on this one, and anything that isn't isekai at least gives us a little more of a glimmer of hope compared to some of the other shows. But all right, let's move along to Heaven's Design Team.
Okay, what is this?
I haven't read the manga, but I've heard of this one before. It's basically like an office comedy, except the office is heaven, and their job is designing animals for God.
Okay, that actually sounds like it might be fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw the premise and I was like,
I'm not so sure. This sounds like the kind of quirky thing which I do not have a fondness for.
I watched the PV, and that's maybe a little bit how I feel. Like, look, as someone who freelances for a living and often has to deal with the very weirdly specific requests of my clients. If any of you are listening, I love you all. Please keep paying me. I thought that maybe I would really resonate with this one because the premise was like, they have to put up with their client, with God's unreasonable demands for animals, right? Like, how do you I just one of the things I saw was how do you make a giraffe? Like, why would you make a giraffe, right, or something like that? But the execution in the PV itself, I was like,
All right, well, yep, I'm looking at this PV and I'm
right,
no
like the
long- no
moment
longer
the moment the whole
interested.
cast does the thing, I was like, it's that kind of anime comedy, like. All right.
Yeah, I also kind of got the impression that they're kind of going for like a pseudo-educational angle, like Cells of Work.
Right, but it's like that. I'd rather
But
just watch
but
Cells
then
of
they're
Work.
designing, but then it's creationism.
Well, no. Okay, so here's the thing. I do not. Look,
Yeah.
I get what you guys are covering. I really do not think this anime is implying. I really hope, anyways. I mean, look. For all we know, we could read an ANN article next week about like author of the original manga gets on Twitter and rants about creationism.
No, I don't
think-
think that's the angle
I
they're
think this is
taking.
purely,
I think
like,
when I
comical,
say
right?
that, I think they're more like talking about the different features on the animal and what they do and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But I don't know. As the resident comedy guy, I would probably be more forgiving of this than the rest of you. But even me looking at it, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I think it's worth it's worth a shot. It's on paper, it's like we were saying, it's a kind of a fun premise.
Yeah,
That
like,
if they pull it off, could be pretty funny.
I feel like there's at least a couple of like science fiction like novels off the top of my head that have like played with that idea, right? Like of like playing with the idea of the divine creator, but like framing them as like a mundane thing, right? Like,
Right.
the most famous example is like, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where there's that
Right.
one guy who's like, I designed the fjords, so like I'm very proud of them or whatever. It's like that can be a fun like way to frame that sort of thing, but
Right.
I mean, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy does have God's final message
Yeah.
to his creation as well, which is words we could all
Yeah,
Fair
in this
enough,
one it's like God is their picky client basically,
Yeah.
and they're trying to design to his weird specifications, but and that's how we get kiwis or something like that. I don't know, but which are weird birds.
I was gonna say, you can't say that about Artemis.
all right.
She's
yes.
she's not on this podcast.
Yes.
So it's fine.
Does she even listen to the podcast? Who could say?
Hi,
I
Artemis.
love you.
Please keep your anti-New Zealand jokes when Artemis is on. And
I
use your
can't
anti-
make
got
fun
it.
of
It's
New
like
Zealand when they're like one of the only places on Earth that have beaten COVID.
Seems to
so.
have got their shit together.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move
get
along
to,
and jump in the
yeah.
time machine and
Yeah.
talk about Back Arrow.
Yeah.
This one,
I've
yeah.
had my eye on this for a while just because of the staff involved, and it was announced
Yeah.
like 2 years ago. So,
Well, Ira, why don't you fill us in on who this is?
Back Arrow is. I don't actually know anything about the premise really, but director Goro Taniguchi, who also directed Code Geass, Active Raid, Planetes, bunch of other shit that nobody gives a shit about. ID Zero, real hit and miss, but
Yeah, his career is very much like, wow, you did that, and also, wow, you did that.
I mean,
yeah.
he's most famous or infamous for Code
Yes,
Geass, right?
and-
Like, he's.
Did he have any involvement
I
in those
don't know.
recent
I think he
films?
at least directed them.
He is credited for
Okay.
like original concept for several of
okay.
these.
Anyways, Eero, get into
Anyway,
the staff
and
member here who
ri-
really matters.
the
So no,
writer
in other words.
for this series is Kazuki Nakashima, known for Gurren Lagann, Promare,
Trigger stuff.
Gurren Lagann, Promare, Kamen Rider Forza. I think
Kamen Rider Forza.
That is what I was reaching for.
Brand new animal.
So,
the
like,
Batman Ninja
Batman
anime
Ninja.
movie.
God, Batman Ninja was pretty good.
So good.
Anyway, like.
I will say that Batman Ninja was not necessarily good
I
because
was
it was
really?
exactly
I
as
thought-
well written as it needed to be.
I thought the writing when they combined their Sengoku era mechs into a mega Sengoku era mech was masterfully written.
Yes, indeed,
Yeah.
full of
I
nuance
mean, I
and
consider.
tragedy.
Go ahead.
I will point out that he
Yeah, he
also
did
wrote
DNA.
Brand New Animal, which was
Yeah.
not great.
Most of his track,
Especially in the
yeah.
Viking
The more as
standpoint,
time, I was thinking about it as we're preparing
Yeah.
for our year-end stuff, and the more time has passed, I hate BNA even more. But
Right.
so I mean, but for the most part, he has a very good track record.
Yes.
Also, music by mecha legend Kohei Tanaka.
Yes.
And character design by Shinobu
Hell yeah.
Otaka of Magi Labyrinth of Magic.
So,
Which is like maybe the
I will point out,
That's quite
I will
an all-star
mention-
cast.
we were talking about Goro Taniguchi. Most importantly, he directed 2005 cult favorite gun sword.
Right,
Oh
Gun X
shit!
Sword, yeah,
he
that's
did
right.
do
I
Gun
feel like
Sword, yeah.
I feel like shares the most DNA with what I've seen of Back Arrow.
Yeah.
God, you're right. I didn't even
It's
think
kind
about that.
of it's kind of got that early 2000s space western thing
like
going on.
sci-fi weirdos, yeah, like
Yeah, the premise sounds like, Back Arrow. The guy's name is actually Back Arrow.
that's great.
Is sort of like the drifter cowboy wandering into town type of with scenario is what the description sounds like to me, and it kind of has some vaguely western looking
Right.
visuals.
It also has the
I will say I'm looking through Taniguchi's filmography right now, and there's a surprising amount of
Yeah.
old
Oh,
yeah,
school.
dude,
Yeah,
he
superheroes.
he goes back.
He worked on all 3 Eldran shows. He worked on some Brave shows,
Yeah,
Mobile
like,
Fighter
he,
G
he
Gundam.
goes way back.
So-
Yeah, he goes way back,
Loves
like-
Old Max and has been pretty vocal about loving Old Max.
Yeah.
Just also,
yeah, like in a lot of ways, like him becoming
Yeah.
famous for Code Geass was maybe one of the like. Not that I would not call Code Geass a real robot anime, but it is interesting that is the thing that put his mark in the world.
I mean, I would describe Code Geass as a real robot anime that gradually
Yeah,
becomes
that's a good way of
super
putting it,
robot
but-
anime towards the end.
Yes.
By the time they're flying and they've got like magical weapons that can
Yeah,
destroy
it is a
city
shame
blocks,
because
then
like it
it's
is one of
pretty
those things
super
of like
robot.
I actually thought like the first time they bust out a mech that can fly in Code Geass was like a genuinely cool moment because the context of that show, it's like, holy shit, that thing can
Yeah, they
fly.
make a big thing of
Anyway,
it.
we can't get into Code Geass.
yeah, Back Arrow
About
also
Back Arrow,
happens
it's-
to have like the Toku Ajace CG power armor that was in Active
Yes.
Raid, which is a little less enthusing. But
Yeah, but I mean that's also like for better or worse, that is just kind of the direction of
yeah,
Anime
ID Zero
is, like-
also had weird CG.
right. Like it is the
think-
Tiger and Bunny thing of like if you have power armor, that's just an easy way to put in some CG.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think if putting the CG aside, this still looks very early 2000s.
yeah,
Which,
and it's weird to be nostalgic for the early 2000s era of anime because I think we could all agree the early 2000s era of anime is like universally
zone.
some of the worst. But like I think I'm.
I don't know, what year is it now?
Yikes.
I meant in anime, in terms of anime, but
No,
really,
so
you
did
think,
I.
You think you think the era of like Gundam Seed was like a good era of anime?
I mean, like Gundam Seed is an abortion.
The other
I'm just being
good thing
for
about
it.
Back Arrow is the animation director was the animation director on Garo Divine Flame.
Yes, you did mention that. Like to me a
Not
little
not
while
Sung Ho
back.
Park,
A very good
unfortunately,
film.
but
No, not Sung Ho. We can't get Sung Ho Park on everything.
no, but the other guy.
Yeah,
he's a busy man these days.
he is a very busy man these days. But yeah, I'm kind of maybe I'm not as enthusiastic as Eero, if only because like I think it is definitely a really strong cast. I just don't want my heart to be broken because
Right,
like
that's kind of how I feel.
It is,
this is something I
like-
want to be excited about.
because this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, in a vacuum, you tell me all these names, and I'm like, holy shit, yeah, like this can't fail, right? Like this is like, right? But that's the thing. It's like we have seen each individual member of this like staff is very strong, but each individual member of this staff has also failed in the past, right?
Yes.
Like Nakashima has BNA on his back, right? That's on him. Like as much as I want to like throw some shade at Yoshinari, Nakashima was the writer on BNA. Goro Taniguchi.
Yeah, it's
Right,
the
Goro
writing
Taniguchi,
that's the
it doesn't need to be
problem
said,
in
right?
being
We
high,
know
let's
that
put
dude's
it that way.
career is uneven as hell, right? Like, it's
The thing I will say is that I think Taniguchi's failures are at least still interesting. Like Active Raid was not the greatest show in the world, but you could definitely tell it was
Sure,
something he
yeah.
was committed to.
But,
Yeah, I mean
well-
some of those like that and like ID Zero and stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah.
If
I think we're talking about more the more like abject.
I wouldn't
failures
put
here.
that at the top of my portfolio if I were him. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way. But yeah,
No, but
But I
Yeah,
really
I
do
think-
hope it comes together.
I do hope they pull it off. If anything, I kind of like the old school energy that's going to appeal to old people like us. But the the only thing I'll conclude with is if this ends up being bad, can I strike a deal where you guys end up watching Gunsword instead?
We
got
wanted
through
to
like
watch 3 or 4 episodes. While
we did like
slammed
3
my
episodes.
plays.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember most of it. I think Eero was too far gone because I don't think he even remembers like basic concepts that were explained in those early episodes. So we'd probably have to rewatch it. But yes, like
I remember.
He does the thing with his hat where like there's a ring in it, and like he puts his finger and he swipes like the hat from like the right to the left. It's like super fucking badass. It's
Yeah, and the guy totally does not look like Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
yes, but what if Spike had a mech instead of a ship, basically?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Anyway.
you're treating that as a threat, Gel. I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. I've been wanting.
No, I'm not threatening. I'm trying to help you guys.
I've wanted to watch Gunsword for a while now. So.
I'm trying to help you guys here. So, all right. So we've got a backup plan.
Yes. Look forward to our Gunsword coverage if Back Arrow doesn't work out next season.
Yeah, that's gonna be our next side podcast, the Gunsword miniseries. But anyway,
All right. What's up next?
Let's keep moving on. Oh, so this is more of a PSA for everyone. I'll talk about Scar on the Praeter.
That's a name.
There's only one important thing you need to know about this
this
show.
This is the latest project.
I don't know what the hell this is.
It's Gohan's.
This is the latest project from Gohan's.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
They're
And
still here.
Famous, acclaimed
Apparently
animation
they're
studio.
still giving Gohan's money,
Yeah, still-
and I guess I should specify specifically because it's really the one director because they do other projects, but it's the one director, Shingo Suzuki, who is obsessed with the weird color filters and all that.
Yeah, I watched the PV of this and I was like, oh yeah, this dude again, right? Like
Yeah, you instantly recognize his style because it's one of the ugliest things.
Well, it's
I've
not
ever
only
seen.
that, but I immediately recognized
Yeah,
oh, Hot Boy Cops anime. This is basically just like
Right.
Wizard Gang Wars from a few years back.
Right,
Yeah,
so-
Kai, like
Yeah.
So if anybody's not familiar with Gohan's, they were, or this director specifically,
the
kind
K
of
guy.
rose to power on K, which was weirdly popular. They also did Handshakers, which is in the discussion for one of the worst anime of all time.
Yes.
I would probably at least say it's one of the ugliest anime of all time, but it's
That I would
yeah.
agree.
I mean, it was the content was also pretty bad. There was a lot of like incest stuff going
oh
on.
my
and all
god,
that.
are they? Wait, I'm sorry. I'm looking up what the dude's working on. Are they? They're letting Gohan's adapt Tokyo Babylon. Yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, as
That's-
somebody who who like maintains a few feelers in the clamp community, that announcement was met by overwhelming rejoicing, followed
Oh my god, like no, I'm
swiftly
like
by
not even the
utter
biggest
horror.
like clamp dude around, but man, Tokyo Babylon deserves way fucking better than Gohan's. That's super fucked up.
Tokyo Babylon
Tokyo
is a
Babylon is
seminal
fucking-
piece.
is it?
Like,
I like it a lot. But anyways, like, oh, giving it to Gohan's, that is some like Golden Kamui anime adaptation shit of just what a cruel fate for a story that really deserves better than that.
I mean, the thing is, like, I'd like to say, like, I'm somebody who likes super weird, super arty, like, bizarre, surreal, messed up visuals. And Joe, you're quite a big
Yes.
fan of that kind
Yep.
of stuff as well. But this
Nope.
isn't that. It's just ugly. It's
Yeah,
just
there's a difference
horrible.
between like
And,
weird surreal visuals and just sticking like purple magenta filters on everything.
Yeah.
It's I think like Handshakers was the absolute worst version of it. They all kind of vary slightly. I'll throw in the more recent one that he did was the W's or whatever, where it was like the YouTube DJs battling.
Okay.
But it's still a very distinct style you recognize instantly, and all of them are ugly to varying degrees. And I mean, the shows have not been great either, like the content
right.
as well. So it's like it's like I don't.
This is not just a case of like this is not just a case of like an uneven artist with like a bad style. It's like even the fundamental like building blocks of a lot of these shows have never been that good anyway. So
I mean, really, the only reason why I think they're still giving them money is because for some reason K was wildly popular.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's just the pretty boys or what, but I don't know why people really loved that show. I mean, it sold huge. There's a whole series of movies that happened after the anime and that are still going, I think. So I guess that's kind of bought this guy a free pass to do some of these other series or whatever. But anyway, you have been warned. This is the latest project from this guy. I don't even remember what the premise was. I think it was something about it's hot boys fighting each other with magic. Let's be honest.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Don't watch this, please.
Damn.
Don't watch this, or you're part of the problem. All right.
I mean, watch now as this backfires on us and it turns out to be some sort of
I'm feeling pretty
masterpiece.
confident on my prediction on this one.
Yeah,
this
is
feels like a
safer
slam
bets
dunk to
we've
me,
made.
but yeah. All right.
No, slam dunk's pretty good.
Yeah. Where's my rim shot on that one? But all right, let's move along and talk about SK8 the Infinity.
I hope this one's good.
Yeah, Bones original.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that EA are
Yeah.
Finally we get the
Skate
new
after
Skate
so
game,
long.
right?
SK8
No.
Yes.
All right. The
So what? So this is a Bones original. It's about skateboarding.
Yep.
I'm assuming we're not going to be as disappointed in this in the way that we were disappointed in Hypnosis, Mike. This past season.
The thing that makes me somewhat more interested in this is the writer is Ichiro Okochi, who was the writer of Code Geass and also worked on Devilman Crybaby, Lupin Third Part 5, Princess Principal, King Gainer.
Yeah, a very strong. My God. So, to play the devil's advocate, though, I will point out that the thing which worries me about this is that it's a Bones original. Bones, a terrific studio for adapting work. Not the strongest record in original.
The way I feel
property.
about this is that a Bones original is almost always worth keeping an eye on, just because it is interesting to see them apply their talents to original works, for better or worse. But yeah, like in a lot of ways, it's kind of like watching a rocket take off, right? Like either way, it's going to be really exciting. Either way it goes,
but the excitement might come from a massive
and like
detonation.
watching the PV, I was like, this like a Bones anime, it looks well made. It looks visually appealing. I think.
I mean, Bones have developed into one of the
Definitely.
strongest visual
There's a
studios
reason why
out there.
everybody, whenever anybody puts together their fucking dream team anime adaptation, it's always Bones is the studio of choice. But yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? It's like, I think this could be really fun, but I will admit, like, it kind of gives me the same energy as Hypnosis might in some ways, right?
It's got
Of,
your
like,
Ikemen cast.
right, like hot boys, like,
And also perhaps a production team which is not necessarily super plugged into the culture.
like
they're
I'm
trying
not saying
to
there aren't
depict.
Japanese skaters. In fact, I bet there totally are. But like
No,
this
of
anime
course.
definitely kind of like, as someone who has known skaters, but again, of course, American skaters, like fucking none of them look or act like the guys in this anime. Let me tell you that. Like nobody here has nearly enough tattoos or has
If you look at the key art. Like, looking at the key art, if you told me this was another multimedia idol project, I would totally
right,
believe
but then
it.
like the
that's-
premise is we're racing skateboards and we got guns and it's like Red Line with skateboards or something.
Right, but then that kind of just gives me more like Air Gear vibes, if anything else.
Oh
like,
God, Air Gear. That's a name I haven't heard in years. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there's enough pedigree to it, like we were saying, where it's worth keeping an eye on.
Definitely.
But I think we're all pretty cautious.
I just, I think the spectre of Hypnosis Mike is big. I also think that, like, in the worst case scenario, there could be, like, this could be Ikebukuro Westgate Park, which is, hello fellow kids,
Yeah,
look
that
at this
is
cool
definitely-
thing I can do, which is,
yeah.
that is definitely my worry for sure. Like, because like I mean, watching the PV, there's like a lot of cool, wacky anime action going on. But like the thing that I would be concerned about a show about skateboarding is like, is the heart there, right? Like, like. Look, I'm from California, so like skateboarding is like such a fucking like intrinsic like
Yeah.
thing about like our generation of American youth culture, like, and I'm not saying that like a Japanese work has to do the exact same things, but like, I am like kind of curious, like if they'll be able to like kind of get at like the heart and soul of like what made that sport so like.
Yeah, I'm so I didn't put it on the list, but there's that ice skating idol hot guy show
Christ.
happening. Skate leading stars or whatever, and like I'm looking at the key art for that and the key art for SK8 the Infinity side by side. I'm like,
Right. That's
if you
kind
didn't
of the
tell me
issue,
more,
right?
if you didn't tell me more about the shows, I would think these were in the same like genre here.
You wouldn't know
But,
which one to shoot.
Yeah, if I had one bullet, then no, I don't want to be that harsh about it. I mean, there are people that like these shows, so I don't want to be. I don't want to be that hard about it, but it really does look like that kind
I think
of show.
Goro Taniguchi's also on Skate Leading Stars.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So
Wait, is he double dipping on directing duties this season?
Oh, is that how he's paying the bills to make back arrow?
How can you even do that? Is that a thing you can do? I guess. Yeah. Wow. Huh.
Yeah, chief director. All right.
I mean, there is also again a possibility that production has been delayed.
Yes.
So like,
Right,
he
it could be
worked
his
on one
part
of
could have
these
been done
shows
already
6
or
to 8
something,
months
yeah.
ago.
Man.
Yeah, it's hard to say with still feeling the impact of COVID what things got reshuffled or whatever.
Right.
But
I mean, I will say that chief director is a involved enough job that it's very rare you could side by side two
Right.
animes. So I suspect it is a delay thing.
But yeah, I hope this one is cool. Like, it would be really fun if this one ended up being good.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if we're going to continue the Hypnosis Mike comparison, like there were things that were silly enough and like funny enough in that like if that was like something they embraced in the show, like the holding the lady hostage with the microphone thing, like
the mic,
if they had really embraced those aspects of the show, that probably would have been fun to watch, right?
Yeah.
So like even if we got some kind of ridiculous interpretation of skateboarding that way, that would be fine.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not implying that like a good skateboarding anime needs to be authentic to skate culture.
Right.
This thing could just
I'm
be
with
like
you.
DBZ with skateboards, and you know what? Like, if it's good, then I'm totally in for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So. All right. Oh yeah, I couldn't wait to talk about this next one.
Oofa doofa.
All right.
This is
All right.
So I was curious
truly
why this one's like
remarkable.
again. Like, I know we want to cast a wider net, but what is the thing that's notable?
Okay,
about
so
this?
I'll explain why I just thought this was noteworthy to talk about.
Wait, one moment. G, have you seen the PV
it's like bad
for this?
CG and shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like
but
the mega
so-
designs kind of
okay.
look
So I'll
Yeah.
let Joe.
So
I'll let Joe
let me-
answer.
Yes, but
Let me tell everybody what the show is. So we're talking about X-Arm, and for a little context, this was one of the several Crunchyroll original shows that were announced a while back. And
So have we actually determined what that means? Does it just mean
I
they're
think
on the
they're
production
paying for it,
committee?
is what that ultimately comes down to. But they're not in this.
Right, but no one group ever.
Well,
pays
or
for
they're paying enough to
all
put
of
their
an
name on
anime.
it.
Right. Yeah, so
yeah,
they're
so
on the production committee.
I'm just giving the context here. So, and when this got announced, I think it was the director was talking some pretty big game about how they were going to revolutionize CG anime.
he was one of those guys.
He was talking about all these like new techniques they were going to use to make this, look amazing. It's going to be like nothing we've ever seen. And then
So I think there's some important context as well, which is the director has no.
Oh, he's
history
that
in anime.
guy.
Nor-
Okay.
Yes.
Nor do
yeah.
most-
This is coming.
Yeah, nor do any of the
Right, this is
senior
coming back to me
production
now.
staff.
Yes.
They're all from.
yes,
Yeah, they're all from.
this was a
live
big.
action. They all
This
come
was a
from the
big news
J-drama
item.
world.
A couple weeks ago, I think,
I think it was
or maybe
more than a
month or
couple
two ago.
weeks, but
Maybe a couple months ago. I don't know. I have no concept of time. in
none
2020.
of us do. Fair.
But yes. So it was people out from outside the industry basically talking big game, saying how that they could do this better.
Right, one of
than-
these fuckers. Yeah. Okay. Because watching the
than
PV.
everybody else.
Yeah, what?
And then the trailer came out,
like hilariously bad,
and it's you just kind of have to
super
watch
fucking bad. Like what?
It's kind of beyond. It's
like,
beyond
this isn't even a
parody.
case of
really.
like I'm not even sure what's going on in this PV. Like, did they mocap? Because if they did,
Yeah.
it looks really bad.
I think so.
Like
Yes, it's all
right, but they're
live
like
action mocap.
slow in a way that
apparently.
even live action isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like when the people are fighting like hand to hand, it's like there's like a weird like you know, I'm not an animation student anymore, but like there's a really weird timing to like the animation that it's like it feels like amateurs. Like
I mean, it's also, you know, one of the reasons why like 2D animation does not just use motion capture is that it looks
totally.
unnatural, right? Like the problem is it's a real uncanny valley thing. You see this problem in rotoscoped animations as well, is that the mind doesn't quite accept
right. Well, it's
either
because like
thing
the way
as
animation
real.
is, right? Like the normal pacing, your eye gets trained when you watch animation to accept its like
limitations.
specific limitations and timings, right? So then when you suddenly like bring in rotoscoping or like this kind of CG, it really draws you out because it's not even necessarily a quality thing, but it's that the change in timing is so different that.
I think also the problem here is that obviously they are combining mocap sequences with stuff that could not possibly be done by humans and therefore must be keyframe
feels like
animated. And the net result is just
like
this weird
Monty
jerky
or
mess.
something, right?
Yeah, no, like that's the thing. Like I was watching this and I was like, you know, this would be like a really good like animation student like
project in 2005.
project. No, you know what? I'd say even in 2020, if like an animation student turned this in as like their final project, this would be
right.
One
this would be
person
quite
turned
impressive. But
this
yeah, that's
in,
the thing. Like, it
yes,
feels
that's the thing.
you can still feel the amateurishness in it. Like it's. And so yes, now the context. Remember that these are the guys who were like, we're gonna change the industry. That makes this much funnier.
I mean, even if they hadn't talked anything at all, this is so ugly, and it's so, you know, like honestly, it looks like a PS2 animatic, not even a PS2 game, a PS2 animatic.
Right. Yeah, I totally get what you mean. Like this is like
in-game cutscene.
This is like the CG intro to like an early PS2 game.
Yeah, so
Hanging
I
out
know
with
Crunchyroll
the
hasn't been too keen to talk about it since then, but
I mean, it's so bad that like ANN wrote a public post just
pretty rare
dunking
for
on
them,
it, which is like
it's kind of out of character for them.
Breaking about like 5 unwritten rules, you know, and. I don't know, man. Like you should embed this in the post.
Yeah, it's hard to convey over audio here.
So I mean,
really
we're all dunking on this, but we're all gonna like watch the first episode of this, right? Just to like, just to like see it in action, just to see how bad it turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm fascinated because I want to know. You know, I want to know.
Right.
The
I mean, that's the thing. Like, this is the kind of anime I would love
made.
for a post-mortem to happen because, like, here's the thing, right? Like, this exists in the same industry where BEASTARS exists, right? Where Dorohedoro exists. Like, CG anime, look, it's not perfect, but, like, it is getting there, and we have some great examples of it.
Yeah, good results
like,
are
for
possible.
this to exist, it's like...
Yeah,
it's like, did they even, like, bother to look at, like, what their competitors were doing? Because...
I mean, I hate to say money, but money is a factor.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
and,
if these guys coming in really had no experience in animation, like what were we expecting here? Like, and was it just the straight out arrogance, or what was it that led them to think that they could do this? I don't know, but
it's worth pointing out that there have been anime in the past that have had. First-time directors or live-action directors at the helm, but normally they're smart enough to pair them with like a veteran lead animator or co-director or producer or something like that. You know, somebody to steady
I think
the
I'm
ship.
actually really into the idea of like people who don't make anime making anime to a certain extent because I think that can lead to like very interesting like perspectives that don't exist. But
and the medium needs more, you know. Needs more visual variety.
But I do think it needs to be anchored by someone who
somebody with a technical knowledge.
who practically knows what they're doing. Yeah,
right. So
Yeah, and it's kind of difficult because the problem is, obviously, especially in the modern system, those people are so valuable that you don't necessarily want to waste them babysitting a first-time director.
It's taking,
so it's kind of a snake eating its
taking
own
a
tail
chance,
thing.
but sometimes you got to take chances. All right, well,
I have no idea what this next thing is.
let's
I'm pulling it up as we speak on another
PV
tab.
is not available in my country, so
so the last show I have on our list here is Wonder Egg Priority. There isn't actually much information on this yet.
Works, okay.
The whole premise, like even the trailer doesn't really show anything.
Right.
I feel like there's a chance that this is going to be really weird, surreal, artsy type of thing, and they're holding back on it. But basically the premise: this girl finds an egg, and the egg tells her, basically, if you want to change the future, break me. And that's all we know. the trailer the trailer, like the animation's nice and everything.
Looks like they're
shows the
trying
girl.
to move in on KyoAni's territory.
Is that necessarily KyoAni territory, or is this just more like
I don't know, like the art, something about the art style.
the character
that in my
design? I kind
brain.
of see what you mean.
Like,
yeah, the character design kind of looks like it's in that neighborhood. I'm just like, there's so little known about this right now, but it is like an original project. A lot of the staff is new, or people who haven't done the roles that they're doing on this. So,
all right. I mean,
I don't know. It's kind of a wild card.
Wild cards are better than, I don't know. I'm looking at my slave harem isekai.
Yeah, Zig and I were talking about how we like or the weird, surreal, artsy stuff. And I can't guarantee you that this is what it's going to be, but it certainly feels like it's setting up for it. The fact that they're not really revealing what's happening and the premise of it and
I
everything.
think it takes a certain confidence to conceal your basic premise in this way, and that to me speaks that they've got an idea and they want to commit to it. And I think that I'm automatically interested in anything anime original because it's a significant creative risk, much more so than adapting a manga or a light novel. And I think that Cloverworks has been a sort of steady studio for a few years now, and I'm interested to see if they can, bust out and move up to a higher tier. And, a really strong original work would do a lot to establish them.
It is interesting they're going to be doing 2 shows this season, so, I mean...
That's, I'm reading the, post that's, reveals cast or whatever, and every character uses a specific phrasing of, this girl's a very distinct, and then physical attribute.
I see what you mean.
Every description, I'm like, what is...
Huh.
okay.
That is... Okay, so here's the thing I actually want to bring up. This has nothing to do with the season itself, but, Anichart, do you, are you looking to hire a copy editor? Because...
all of these descriptions and shit are, copy-pasted from, official-ass...
Right, but that's what I...
Yeah, I think
know.
they're
Okay, so
pulling...
maybe not Anichart, but, fucking somebody in anime... in the industry needs a copy editor because I feel like so many anime get done dirty so hard by their written descriptions.
Right, I mean that's why we skipped Akudama Drive, right?
I mean, but
I think so we're
but also disclaimer, none of us speak Japanese.
I'm not saying one of us, but just
No, but what I'm saying is that these translations are maybe the 50th priority.
Here's the thing. So for reference, when we're doing these, we use, there's a lot of chart sites out there. We use anychart.net. Shout out to them, I guess. I hope they're not run by Nazis. I think their descriptions are pulled just straight from the ANN database, and I'm assuming those come from press releases. Yeah. Now, whether or not those press releases are getting translated by ANN or there's an official translation, I don't know. So but there is a lot of chain of...
Yes, of course. The telephone game of translating.
Right. Yeah, by the time we're looking at it, I guess. So
I just feel it leaves some very wonky descriptions of shows that it's hard to tell. Is that intentional or is that just in Japanese, you can repeat the same word multiple times and nobody will like really bat an eye. So it's fine to call every character distinctive.
Yeah.
Who knows, dude?
But,
yeah, I guess it might not be the same as in English where you don't want to repeat the same word over and over again. I don't know.
Well,
But
repetition helps hammer home a point.
yeah. All right. I mean, again, no way to know if this egg thing is going to be good. All we can tell is that it appears they are planning something. There's going to be some kind of twist or something. And
look, it's interesting and it might be original, and that's enough to stand out.
And maybe it'll be awful, but at least it's piqued our interest, right? So.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty much that's pretty much it for the list. Just before we wrap up, you guys want to hit me with your most anticipated show? Maybe we can go around the room. Iro, you want to go first?
In terms of unknown quantities, Back Arrow. In terms of somewhat known quantities, BEASTARS 2.
Yeah, that's sounds about right. G.
I mean, it's the same thing, right? Like, I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to BEASTARS season 2. Like, I really can't wait to see your guys' reaction to some of the shit that goes down in that season. It is truly. I think it is almost a war crime that they revealed the snake in the PV. But here we are. Yeah. So we're just gonna have to live with that. But there's still plenty of other good reveals. I would love for Back Arrow to be great. I hope SK8 the Infinity is fun. That would be it would be really fun to have like a solid original anime next season, but can't. I'm not willing to like go all in on that one, so we will see.
Yeah. Zig, what do you think?
I mean, I think Wonder Egg Priority is the thing which I have the highest hopes for, I mean, I obviously will be watching Back Arrow closely as well. I'd love for that to be good. But I think Wonder Egg Priority has my interest peaked. I'll also note that barring, another by now routine catastrophe, that this should be the season that final Evangelion movie is premiering. And although we will not be able to see it, obviously, I will be interested to see what the tone of the debate around that thing is, because it's been a while, huh?
Yeah, that's. I'll believe that movie is out when it's out.
Subtitled in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I will not believe that movie exists until there is a fan sub torrent of it online.
Yeah. For me, I would for the returning, I'm also all on board for BEASTARS. I agree with you, Zig, on the Wonder Egg Priority thing. I would probably more say, like, if you gave me, if all these shows were available to watch right now, that's probably the one I would watch first, just because I want to know what stunt they're going to try to pull here. But we really have no idea whether that's going to be good or not. And of course, I'm also on board, I guess, with Back Arrow. But yeah, I mean, there's always something that surprises us, right?
Always is.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I was firmly of the opinion that this past season would be completely putrid, but actually there's been some decent to semi-decent stuff. So I'm always most excited for the thing. Which
I feel like this past season, more than a lot of other recent seasons, had things that kind of, because I mean we talk about Akudama Drive, of course, but even like something like Talentless Nana, or like
Talentless Nana. I mean I think the thing we talk about Akudama Drive so much is because it.
0 to 60.
The gap between our expectations and what it turned out to be is very wide.
But, Talentless Nana has been very good as well, and even stuff like Adachi and Shimamura and Moriarty the Patriot, has been never less than watchable, which is considerably better than some seasons we've seen in the past.
Yeah,
so.
I highly suspect that either one of the shows on this list, or hell, probably an anime we didn't even say by name in this podcast, will come out of nowhere. Everybody will suddenly be like, holy shit, you guys need to watch this. And we will all collectively...
I'm feeling pretty good that, what is the actual name of this show? Bottom tier character Tomozaki is not going to be It's not going to surprise us on that one. That's the one.
I think it could surprise us, just not in a good way.
Make more fucking wick sauce.
Like,
oh yeah, there's more wick sauce. Yep, that's another one coming back.
More
there's a lot of things
RE0.
coming back. I mean, hell, we don't watch it anymore, but again,
Right.
Attack on Titan's final season already started airing.
I feel like people fell off Attack on Titan real
You say
hard.
that, but
Well, didn't it go like?
the fact that
didn't it,
Like not just us, but
didn't
like
it go like full
everyone.
fascism or though?
I
or
mean,
something?
I would definitely agree with you guys, but also like, if they still managed to get Mappa on the last season, so like apparently they did.
Right, but that's purely a money thing. I'm just talking about general fan
I'm just saying
interest.
that clearly they must, for better or worse, it must have done something right to warrant that,
Yeah, right, and obviously, we can only speak to the Western fandom. We have no insight.
Gosh,
into
guys, how we didn't
things are
even
doing in
talk
Japan,
about Uma Musume is getting a season 2. Like, are y'all ready for? Are y'all ready for more horse lore?
The only notable thing about that show was that it was by PA Works, and this new season is not by PA Works.
Oh yeah.
I was just
Well, I
saying,
mean, the
like-
first season looked very good.
Yeah. So anyway, in all
The
seriousness,
first season had the one good joke with the
phone.
phone headset
Yes, the
being
phone.
big enough for the horse girls.
Yes, that was a pretty good joke.
I'll give him credit for that much at
Yeah.
least. But all right.
right.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Then we shall see if any of these sneak up on us. But we'll see in a bit. All right, let's do our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. We are about to have all of our year-end stuff happening shortly after.
I'm excited. It's the one time this year I get to write about good things rather than bad ones.
You made your bet on Kamen Rider Saber, Zig. So
Christ.
I gotta keep going to see just how far down.
that's
we can
on
go,
you.
because
But yeah, so
we have.
check on the theglorioblog.com for all our year-end posts and of course our top 10, which will be at the end of the year. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course you can like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. That is going to do it then. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll see everybody next time.